Welcome back, everybody, to the Clydesdale Fitness and Friends. My name is Scott Schweitzer. I am the Clydesdale. We love to do fitness, and these are my friends. I got my co-host Charlie Odie with me and special friend Amanda Barnhart. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
So you are a games veteran, and I have so many notes, and it's so hard to figure out where to start. So I want to start with a fun story from Wodapalooza. So I was there this year. It was my first time ever at Wodapalooza. To preface the story, my background is swimming, just like yours.
Nice.
I swam at Ohio State for a little bit and then retired because it was different than I thought it was going to be. So every day at Wodapalooza, I'd walk into the park, I'd get a coffee from Dan Bailey, and I'd go to Bayfront to enjoy some coffee while I'm watching the ocean and all that kind of stuff. And here comes you and Ryan Lochte. I didn't know what comedy was going to ensue from that point forward. So the premise is there's all these athletes that are not elite athletes who are getting coaching from Amanda and Ryan Lochte on how to swim during their event. And every time they went to Ryan Lochte, the advice he was giving was at such an elite level. And I'm sitting there going, my God, these guys are going to drown. If they try to do 7 strokes a breath and beat 1 beat per second as a kick, they're going to die. They're going to die. And then you would grab the mic and go, well, maybe we need to back that down a bit. And it kept going throughout the entire thing. And you kept saying well, maybe you just want to get to the buoy the best you can.
Yeah.
I was laughing so hard, and I don't think anybody else appreciated how funny that was, but you were trying to save these people's lives.
Yeah. So first of all, that's awesome that you swim at Ohio State. They're an incredible swim program. But yeah, I showed up there and they're like, hey, you're gonna do this thing with Ryan Lochte. We had no plans. I mean, I kind of knew we were gonna do something, but I didn't know what. Also was super starstruck meeting him because I was a swimmer my whole life. Him and Michael Phelps were my favorite swimmers by far. So I get to meet him, and then I'm doing a seminar with him. I don't feel even remotely qualified to be teaching swimming with Ryan Lochte. I swam at Cleveland State. It's a low-level Division I school. I was a decent swimmer, but nowhere even in the conversation with Ryan Lochte. So we're doing this thing, and he's super unfamiliar with CrossFit. He comes to Wodapalooza just basically having no idea what CrossFit is at this point. He just thinks I'm some muscly girl, and he's trying to figure out the whole weekend, and just his first day there, he's getting really overwhelmed. So he has no idea what CrossFitters do in general, let alone what they do when they swim, or that most CrossFitters cannot swim. So he's giving these super technical advice, or advice that just isn't very relevant, because a lot of times the swim portion of workouts becomes survival for swimmers or for CrossFitters, and not so much trying to thrive in the water. It's more trying to survive. So I feel he would give super good technical swimming advice that would be great for someone who kind of knows how to swim. And then I would be okay, so I know what this is going to feel like from a CrossFitter perspective. I also know what Ryan means from a swimming perspective because I have the swimming background. So I kind of tried to mesh the two. The first couple of questions, I felt I was overstepping with him, but he didn't care at all. And he's such a laid back, awesome person. So as it went on, I didn't feel as bad, and just kind of continued to correct him in some ways, to explain more of how this works for CrossFit. But yeah, it was really fun. I feel people enjoyed getting the drastic perspectives from the two of us.
Yeah, I think first of all, it was cool for them to get to meet an Olympian and an elite CrossFit athlete. They are not in that league at that point. But your political correctness on the first couple questions of trying not to overstep, and then it got to the point where I just need to step in here.
Yeah. Be I disagree.
Yeah.
That's not how I would do that. Because I think they were asking how would you approach this? And he would say something, and I'd be that's not how I would do it.
Yeah, because he would approach it, and he actually would answer it how he
Yes.
himself would approach it.
Yeah. But not
Being an
knowing
Olympic
CrossFit,
swimmer.
not knowing CrossFit as an Olympic swimmer. So like it was totally hard for him to give that advice. And I think that the day we did that seminar was before he had done a workout. So we did another one like on Saturday morning, and he that morning had swam with Annie and someone else. They did like a row swim run, and he went out so hard on the row, and then obviously swam really fast, and then got on the runner and just absolutely died. And I think Annie caught him. So like I feel like he would have had different advice on Saturday than he did on Thursday.
Yeah, agreed. So how fun was that? So you were there with Tier, got to hang out. It's a big party. That was my first experience at Wodapalooza. I call it the CrossFit family reunion.
Yeah. So I competed at Wodapalooza in 2020, and that was my first time going, and it was just a fun experience in general, being there and seeing I was shocked how many people go to Wodapalooza. Like it is so cool from a community perspective to meet so many different people, so many different divisions. So it was fun then. And then this year was just next level fun because I have no stress of competing. I wasn't worried about my sleep or my recovery or my nutrition. I was literally just out in the sun with friends, meeting with all my sponsors, meeting fans, watching the competition. It was honestly one of the funnest weekends I've had in a really long time.
Yeah. And if you're a CrossFit junkie, the vendor village there, I would say, is bigger than the games.
I've never been in Vendor Village at the games, but I have heard that it competes, that it's very, very good.
Yeah. It's amazing. And a lot of companies were launching new items that weekend. So you got the first crack at a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good time to do it.
So the next thing I want to get into before we kind of get into the full CrossFit thing is you're a doctor of physical therapy, put in the 7 years of school. That is commendable right off the bat. You don't practice now, but we had Matilda Garnes on a couple days ago, and she's a physical therapist in Europe. And I asked her, does that help you as an athlete? And she says, I have the physical therapist on one shoulder and I have the athlete on the other shoulder. And the athlete always wins.
It is a challenge. I do sometimes feel, I don't know. I feel like sometimes the physical therapist in me wins. Not as often, definitely not as often. But especially as I've gotten older, I'm a lot smarter than I used to be. If something's hurting, I know this is going to hurt me worse, and it's not making me fitter in the moment. Like I'm making a choice. Like I'm digging a hole on an injury. I'm digging a hole on a recovery. I make the choice to stop. And I used to not do that. And a lot of, I would be bold enough to say majority of young athletes absolutely do not do that. Games athletes, especially. Like you don't get to the games unless you have that killer instinct. You have that dig to push through when you don't want to. So we all have it. When you're young, everyone pushes through everything. Everyone does every piece on their programming without any questions, doesn't skip anything. As you get older, you learn that is not how you always have to train. And you can't. Your body starts to wear down, and you get a lot more out of your recovery if you learn to listen to your body and not dig that hole. It's the end of a Saturday and you have one more piece and your shoulder hurts and you're supposed to do something that is really going to hurt your shoulder, and your recovery is already like really killing you. And you make the choice to be like, what is best for my body right now? Like my mind wants me to do this because I'm going to feel better about it. I'm going to feel like I did everything I could, did all of my training. But I've gotten to the point now where I've learned that sometimes you have to make the choice to walk away from things, whether it's because of an injury or because of recovery. So the PT in me struggles with, the body pain stuff, but the experienced athlete in me has learned a lot in when to say no and when to walk away and when it's okay to push through. Like this is the time of year where I push through a lot more than I would in January because it matters so much more now. But I think it's cool that she said that because I absolutely can relate. I think it's an advantage being a DPT. You have so much knowledge about the body. You know exactly what's going on. You have an injury, you know how to fix it. Obviously, you need people to help you. You can't do everything yourself, but the awareness in of itself is such an advantage.
Is that how?
Yeah, and I think. Oh, go ahead, Charlie.
I was gonna say, is that how? I think it was it 2 years ago where you hurt your ankle, but you at the games, and is that how you kind of mentally were like, okay, I know that I can push this much on this ankle without it doing long term damage and kind of moving forward?
To be honest, I never once thought about long term damage during that weekend. I know that I was like, I know it's not broken. I was not concerned about something being torn. I mean, I was like, if something's torn, it's torn. Like we'll deal with that later. But I wasn't necessarily worried about it getting worse over the weekend, which I'm sure I absolutely made it worse over the weekend, like doing double unders and heavy cleans and running and whatever. But I honestly didn't think about it, and I think that that's the difference between you're in the competition, like you're not, you absolutely just want to get through the weekend. You want to finish as best you can. You want to pretend like this injury is not happening. But during training, I would have looked at that completely differently and definitely would have been worried about a lot of things.
Matilda actually is a CrossFit Games rookie, so it's. I think it's important that you said you're older and wiser now, and listen to the PT side. She's a rookie trying to get to her first games, and so she's probably pushing through more than she would normally. But she said she actually hired a PT to help her stop when she needs to stop.
That's awesome. Yeah. I've always worked with a PT. So like if I'm dealing with some sort of injury, I go and see someone and they'll be like, they'll talk to me like a PT. They know that I know what I need to do. And I always look at them at the end of the treatment and say, tell me exactly what to do. Like, because I know what to do, but I'm going to go home with a list of 25 exercises and try to do all of them. And it's too many. Like I don't have time in my day to do 15 shoulder exercises and 15 hip exercises in my warm up every day. So give me 3 that are most important. I promise you I'll do them. I need to hear that from someone because the athlete, the competitive person in me wants to do everything and you just can't physically do that. So I think having a PT, having a coach, having someone to tell you what to do, tell you when to stop is necessary for every athlete.
When you finish your career, are you going to go back to that occupation or are you okay with not?
That's a tough question. I've like renewed my license. I've kept it up to date. I'm doing a year-long course right now, just to keep my mind sharp. I think I use my mind a lot more than I realized just in CrossFit and training and stuff, but I'll use my degree. Absolutely. I'm very passionate about the human body. I'm very passionate about movement. I'm very passionate about helping people. And I like the connection that it has with CrossFit. So I want to work with that somehow. I don't foresee myself going back to a clinic and working 9 to 5 with patients all day long. Obviously, if that's what ends up happening and, for financial reasons, if I need to, I absolutely will do that. And I want to keep that available. But I don't know. I think that it's too soon to tell right now, but I definitely don't foresee myself not using it at all.
When you were a swimmer, do you find that built such a good cardio base for you coming into CrossFit? Because when I was swimming, like I felt like I could do anything. If someone challenged me to a run, I could run any distance because of my swimming. If I, and then when I retired, like all that went away.
So oddly enough, I don't think that swimming helped my cardio that much. I think it helped with my ability to suffer. I think it helped with maybe a little bit of base building, like long and slow base building. But I always felt like when I was in really good swimming shape, it didn't translate to anything else. Like I was killing it in the water. And you asked me to go run? Absolutely not. If I was in really good shape in general, like really good running shape, CrossFit shape, and I got in the water, I was swimming pretty darn good, even if I wasn't swimming. So I don't know if that's just a me thing, but I feel like it never, because I would come out of swim season. So I did 3 sports in high school. I'd come out of swim season and go straight into track. And I would always be behind because everyone ran winter track, indoor track. And I did not because I would swim. And they're like, oh, you're in shape. You just got off swimming. I'm like, whoa, no, I'm not. Like, it's just totally different. I would struggle so hard for the first couple of weeks of running. But if I flipped it and went the other way, went from running to swimming, I feel like it would have helped me more. So I'm not sure why. I do think that there are certain things that absolutely help me, like my ability to like suffer on a rower and just like that ability to just like grind through long things. I attribute to swimming 100%. Yeah.
So what strokes did you swim?
Pretty much all freestyle. I swam my freshman. So we did like a 30-minute max distance swim at the very beginning of my freshman season. And I got like 4th on the team in that. And they're like, oh, we're going to push you in distance group. And I was like, no. So I ended up swimming the 500,000 in mile my freshman year. My sophomore year, I didn't do great in the mile. I think it was because I didn't want to do great in the mile. I was like, don't ever make me swim this again. So my sophomore year, I swam more the 500, 200,000. And then junior year was about the same. And then senior year, we lost a lot of our sprinters. So I was able to join the sprint group for one fun year and got to swim the 50 relay, the 100 relay, the 200, and then the 500 was my longest event my senior year, which I felt like I was finally getting in my groove my senior year with those events in that training. Just the training was so different than what I trained in my distance group, because we had 4 different groups on our team, and we pretty much did not, I'm sure Ohio State was the same, like you did not swim with those other groups very often, and it was pretty specific training for those groups. So I felt like my body adapted. No surprise, I'm a larger, muscly person. My body responded really well to that sprint training. And I swam really great my senior year. So I kind of wish I would have had the chance to train like that for all 4 of my years. I think I would have been a better swimmer in the end.
Yeah, I was a 2 and 5 in high school with some IM. And
Nice.
then when I got to college, it was 5,000, 1650.
Yeah.
And that's probably what made me retire.
Yeah. 400 IM?
Yeah, 2 and 4.
Ugh, the 400. I did the 400 IM one time, and my coach was like, your breaststroke is way too bad for you to swim this event.
That was my weakness too. We must have been the same swimmer.
Yeah, it's funny because my sister was a breaststroker, so like that's all she swam.
I would be in first place after the backstroke, and then I would lose it all in the breaststroke and have to catch it back up in the freestyle.
Yeah, there's 2 type of IMers. They're either breaststrokers or freestyler and flyers. Like there's never there's never much in between.
Yeah, so let's move off of swimming, because I know that this is a CrossFit podcast. Dogs, though, everybody loves dogs, and you described your dog Teddy as the snuggle bug that's also a monster.
Oh yeah, he's a monster. Wait, Ted, he's sleeping right now, right next to me. Teddy, hey, come up here.
And that is my dog description to a T. My dog Walter is the exact same way. Loves to snuggle, but then he's a terror when he's not snuggling.
Oh yeah, that's him. He's really sleepy right now, so he's being super sweet, but just napping on the ground, but by my feet. But he's 2 years old. He's a golden doodle. He's
cute.
When we first got him, yeah, he's very cute. He knows he's cute. When we first got him, my husband, he was just super chill as a puppy, and my husband's like, "This dog's lame." And I was like, and then literally 24 hours later, this dog just starts running and barking like a crazy person. And we're like, what is he even he's playing by himself. He's outside by himself. We're inside watching him run the backyard, just bark and run and bark and run. And we're like, oh my gosh. And now he pretty much does that ever since. And this is when he was 9 weeks old. He still does that every single day. Runs outside, barks like crazy. And it's just because he's excited. He's not barking at anything but pure excitement. So we always joke that he's literally the happiest dog in the world. You can't ever upset him. But
so Christy this year decided she wanted to make competing as close to home as possible. So she took Milo with her to semifinals, so that in the evenings when she was done, she could walk Milo and it would feel like she's just a normal day to her.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered that with Teddy?
No. It would add so much more stress. Milo is way more easygoing than Teddy and way less. He's the lowest maintenance dog I've ever met. So I can imagine that Christy was able to pull that off with ease, but Teddy is not. He
Yeah,
would
she told me after.
too many challenges.
Yeah, she told me after that the day one where she had a really bad day, like if Milo wasn't there, it would have been really tough for her. But that helped her snap out of it and go after it the last 2 days.
That's really cool. I love that.
Yeah. So, and is he your only dog?
No, we have another dog too. He's older though. He's sleeping around the corner. He is gonna be 15 in November, and he's a pit bull mix. So he was my husband's first dog that he got well before we even met. He's a really sweet guy though. He doesn't exactly love the puppy energy.
Yeah, I can imagine. So let's talk about you grew up in Ohio. You know, we are based out of Columbus. So we've been following your career since the beginning. You went to school in Cleveland, but most of your time is around the Dayton area.
Mm-hmm.
Then you decide 2 years ago you're going to move to Boston. I can imagine that is night and day. Having spent time in the Dayton area and having spent time in Boston, they are nothing alike.
No.
So how long did it take you to adjust to that move?
I would say it was very quick just because of like the things that mattered like flowed so quickly. Like it was just, home to the gym, the people I was surrounded with was all great. So like the major differences between Boston and Dayton were the outside world. Like Boston itself is just so different than Dayton. But I'm living in Boston, but we're not really living in Boston. Like we're living in a suburb and I go from home to the gym. Like I don't go downtown very often. I'm not living that environment. If I were, it would have been a lot tougher on us. But it was pretty seamless just because of that. There's a lot of things that I don't love about living in Boston, but for the purposes of training and being in a better training environment and having people to push me, being with coaches, like that transition was so easy because it was great.
So your husband had to make the move too. And how did it go for him?
So he quit his job. And he's been going to school for many years while working full time. So you can imagine how that goes. He worked very long hours. So he would sometimes only be taking one class at a time. So when he quit, I was like, because we started looking for jobs, obviously. And I'm like, why don't we just finish school? Like go to school full time and get this done instead of finding another job, dragging this out. We know we won't live in Boston forever. Our family's in Ohio, our heart's in Ohio. Like we will go back there someday. So I was like, what's the point of you getting this job, getting locked in and like still ticking away at school while you're finding a different school, then potentially you'd have to move schools again. So it just sounded like a nightmare. So we're like school full time, which was a huge change for him. First he loved it. And then he's like, but then like it was such a high COVID time. Like where I'm sitting right now is his desk where he's like lived the last 2 years because he's gone to campus, which is his school is in the city. He's gone there like once or twice, which has been awesome because he gets to do everything online. He's at the gym. He can go to the gym for several hours. He loves that. He's with me a lot more, but he is a people person and he's a social butterfly. So sitting at a computer desk all day, like listening to videos, not getting to interact with people has been tough on him.
But you're doing fine. You're in there for 2 years. Are you settled this year? Because you seem when I watched you at Granite, you just seemed like more composed on the floor than I'd seen you in past years.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of things. It's settled into the training environment. It's settled into myself as an athlete. Like I think that it's just taken me a few years to evolve and really learn myself and grow. And, I'm not done peaking yet. I'm still getting better, but I feel like I'm getting a lot closer to figuring out myself as an athlete.
And we talked about when I interviewed you there at Granite Games, we talked about consistency. And you said that was your complete goal for that weekend is to not be the home run hitter with bad finishes, but to be consistent across the board. Were you happy with that finish?
Yes, absolutely. obviously there's workouts I could have done better in, and I, wish I would have done things differently in the moment. But when I look back at the whole weekend, it was a success, and I was really happy with my overall consistency and calmness throughout all of the workouts.
Yeah, your worst finish was an 8th, and the rest were all top 5s, which is pretty consistent across the board. Was there a favorite event from the weekend? And not necessarily where you finished best,
Yeah.
but like what was your favorite that you felt the best about?
I felt it's tough. I guess I would say the Sunday morning sled push run, just because I was in a groove in that workout. There's a few things I would have done differently, but I felt really good in that workout. From a recovery standpoint, a fueling standpoint, like as an athlete, there's so many like little logistics that go into making sure you're able to execute to your ability in a workout. And I think that was as close as I got all weekend. Just like constantly learning new things to tweak and warm ups, and, warming up enough, especially as I get older. I feel like I got to warm up a ton to make sure I'm ready for the intensity of competition. So I did some things wrong on Saturday that I fixed on Sunday, that I felt like a different athlete on Sunday. And I think that is why that workout was my favorite. I didn't execute as well as I would have wanted on the bike. I should have biked harder, but like from a perspective of like really finding my groove, Sunday was a great day.
You looked so strong on that run. And there were a lot of athletes that did not. And so the few of you that looked really good on the run, like stood out from a spectator standpoint. And it's funny that's what I would have guessed was your best, just by the way you looked and your posture and your composure. So that's kind of cool that came out that way.
Yeah.
You finished the weekend with an average finish of 4.3. We actually have partners, and I'm going to try to pull it up really quick, who do a stat sheet on every athlete that we interview. And and so I just want to point it out a few quick things. It'll just take me a minute.
Okay.
The funny thing, Amanda, is we were supposed to interview someone at noon, but they came out that they popped for PEDs last night. So that got canceled. So I had to get through that stuff. Here we go. So here it is. So here's your stat sheet. It's from Fantasy Fitnessing. They run a fantasy CrossFit game where anybody can play for free. But here's your average event finish from Granite Games. It is your best average. It is your best average finish in any event that you've ever competed in from 2020 forward. Does that surprise you?
No. Not at all, actually. I mean, I went into the weekend feeling confident that I could be consistent, and the goal of being consistent, not because of the workouts at all. I felt that way before I knew the workouts, just because of the work that we've put in and, how much I feel like I've grown.
So they also break things down by event type and time domain and your finishes based on that. And then what I wanted to get to is here is recent event results by movement. So if a workout included a burpee, it's on this line of where you finished. If it involved a clean, this is where you finished. What do you think your best movements are since 2020?
I would guess a clean is probably one of them. And a bike.
That's where I thought. So I went to clean, but really what surprised me, your thrusters.
Oh yeah, thrusters are not a surprise either. No.
Right there. Your wall balls.
That's another good one. Thrusters and wall balls are like the same thing to me.
Yeah. And then snatch, of course, the lift, snatch and clean were both really good. So I just thought that was interesting. I just wanted to share that with you.
That is cool.
Sorry, that took a second.
That was really cool.
So you've been doing this for a long time now. This is your 5th straight CrossFit Games, 3 straight top 10s.
Mm-hmm.
What have you learned during that time in preparation for the games that you're going to put in place in the next 4 weeks?
Oh man, so much that I don't even know how to put into words. But I guess it's kind of what I've talked about before is like number one, like the obvious answer is games training-esque type workouts, touching all of the stuff that shows up at the games that you don't necessarily do all year round. Making sure you have the volume tolerance, which at year 5, I have the volume tolerance. So it's not as stressful going into this season as I was in 2018. It was like 2018, I was not prepared for the volume. Now I'm very much prepared for the volume. So it's less volume intensive this time around, just because I'm more prepared for it. Over the years, it just kind of compiles, and your body's much more ready for it. So it's more focused on what I need to be doing, making sure we're dialing in my running and my gymnastics, and touching all the heavy lifts, making sure everything feels good and you're touching anything that could possibly come up. And then just the last couple of weeks is really just like firing away at games type workouts, which is seriously the most fun time of year, because it's the type of workouts that everyone loves to do, but you don't get to do until this time of year. So looking forward to it.
And you kind of thrive in that outdoor environment, right? Swimming, running, things like that. So unlike a lot of athletes, you don't have to ramp up for that. Do you do a lot of swimming in your workouts, or do you rely on what you have from the past?
I rely on what I have from the past until about a month out. So I might have swam like once or twice for like a photo shoot or for fun, but I have not trained swimming since last year. Last year leading up to the games until after Granite Games was the first time I got in the pool in the lake and started swimming. And now I am doing it twice a week now, just because I only had 6 weeks to train it. Most CrossFitters swim year round twice a week. So it's definitely a lot less than most of them do. Because I want to feel good in the water. I want to feel confident that a swim workout comes out, I'm going to be ready to do my best. But I also know I'm never going to be in the swim condition that I was, and that my swimming is good enough. And there's a lot of other things that I can make progress on and need to make progress on to do well at the games, and swimming's not one of them.
Yeah, I know when I was fit, trying to get back there, but that about 2 weeks, you could be pretty good back in the water.
Mm-hmm.
If after taking a year off, 2 weeks, and you could be pretty good to go. So I was just curious if it still was that way for you as an elite athlete. So what about the strongman stuff? Is that all new for the 6 weeks, or do you do that throughout the year?
We touch it here and there. Honestly, still not something that I touch a ton, because I'm typically pretty good at that, and it takes a lot out of me. Anything, although I'm good at lifting heavy and moving heavy things, it's just takes a lot out of you. Like doing cardio and gymnastics, luckily, is the stuff that I need to get better at, and that is the stuff that doesn't take as much out of me. So from a recovery standpoint, we focus, and a weakness standpoint, that's where our focus has always been for me. But yeah, I've been touching a yoke every week now, and I hadn't touched it since last year. And, we get the heavy D balls out and heavy kettlebells and all that kind of stuff. But it's as for me and my strengths and weaknesses, it's definitely not a focus of our training.
So when you're working gymnastics, do you find it depends on what it's paired with is where you need the work? Or do you just like look at the movement in its by itself and like train a muscle up? Or is it depending on what you're going to do before that muscle up or after that muscle up?
Do you mean from like a standpoint of what I struggle with, or?
Yeah, or that you train because of what you've learned.
Oh, okay. It depends where we are. So at the very beginning, all I did was just train muscle ups. Like first it was technique driven, like trying to fix my technique on a muscle up. Once we got the technique a little bit better, the name of the game was volume tolerance, because I just had no tolerance past 20 or 30 muscle ups, and now I can do 60 muscle ups in a day, and it doesn't even faze me. So building that tolerance strictly just muscle ups, and then it's trying to get it in a better time domain, like trying to get those faster sets on the minute, that type of deal. And then now it's transitioned, we do them in workouts with all different types of movements, fatigue levels, whether they're a big 30 set at the beginning, or like Granite Games workout where it was 30 in the middle, or is it 60 spread out across the workout? It's just as much variety as possible at this point.
After 5 years, how much more confident are you in your gymnastics today than you were in 2018?
In 2018, I don't even think I realized how bad I was at it, so I probably wasn't as worried. Now I think I'm still nervous about it because I know I have made immense progress, especially in the chest to bar, ring muscle up, legless rope climb. I would say those three I've made the absolute most progress in. Where that puts me next to the field, I still don't know. Like I was pretty much dead last in all of those type movements at the games in 2018. And I'm very confident I would not be dead last today. But I'm trying to be top 5 podium at the games. So I need to be top 20, top 15 in these weakness called workouts. And I don't know where I'm at. And I think it would depend what it's paired with and, what we've done up to that point. But it's exciting. I'm excited to test those things. I want them to be tested. I want to go up against the best and see where I'm at. I don't want to hide from it.
What gets you more excited, hitting your plan on a gymnastics workout or hitting a big lift?
Oh, my plan on a gymnastics workout, 100%. When we looked back at 2019, all everyone talked about was the clean with Tia, and
yeah.
That was fun, but I wasn't overly proud of that. Like I missed the 265 because I felt like I was rushing the lift and, started to feel the pressure, I think, at that point and failed the lift. So in that moment, I wasn't super proud of that. And, looking at the top 10 girls I was going up against, I'm like, if I don't get first or second in this event, like something went horribly wrong just by knowing who was left. And we look back at the weekend and I got last. There was only 10 of us. So I got last in the pegboard workout, but I climbed the pegboard like 5 or 7 times. I don't remember what it was. And the year before I didn't climb it at all. So like that was 100% the highlight of my weekend. And it's the stuff that you work on every single day, the stuff that you're scared of, the stuff that you've trained all season long, that means the most at the games. Obviously winning events is incredible and it's hard to compare to that. But when you've put in so much work and dedication and hours to specific movements and to feel it pay off at the games is amazing.
It's kind of one of those weird, like for the clean, it's like, it's a no win because you're supposed to do it. So it's just like, okay, well, she was supposed to do that. And then where if your gymnastics side, they're like, whoa, okay, she's here, but now she's in third.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're doing something.
Exactly. It means so much more. You see a workout, and I think a lot of athletes say this, like you see a workout that you're supposed to win, you're more nervous because you're like, oh God, I'm supposed to win this workout. Like this is a groove pitch for me. You see the weakness workouts, you're nervous, but you're like, you know what? I've done everything I could to get better at this. Like, let's just see where I'm at. Go out there and do your best. And it's cool to see the progress. Like, everyone else is getting better too. So where am I going to be now against the field?
So in your career, 2018, you had a normal game season. Every year since then, it has not been. 19 was everybody in the world got invited. 20 was the big COVID year. 21 was the semis were all messed up because of COVID still. And you get to the games. This is going to be your first normal games again since 2018. My first question is, are you excited that it's just normal this season?
100%. I am so excited. I was just talking to my training partner, Sydney, about this the other day, how like 18 was fun. It was a solid games. The workouts were amazing. The environment was unreal. We kept all 40 girls until the end. I know from a spectator perspective, it's not the best thing in the world being able to like watch 4 heats gets boring. But from a competitor standpoint, I love being able to compete against all 40 athletes in every single workout to really see where you compare.
My second question is, how proud do you feel that no matter what got thrown at you over the last 4 years, you still made it to the games and in the last 3 years finished top 10?
Yeah, I'm super proud. I look back now and I'm like, wow. Because it's easy to feel like after 2018 that I didn't really earn it. Like I really earned it in 2018. And then, I just got lucky after that. And now that all these years have passed and I've done it again this year, and this year was challenging. We had a stacked semifinal, and there's no doubt in my mind that I deserve to be there, that I've earned it, that I'm one of the top athletes in the world. And, I don't even flinch at saying that because I mean it in my soul. And a couple of years ago, I definitely wouldn't have meant that.
That boggles my mind. And I read somewhere where you do fight that a lot, self-confidence. And the more athletes we talk to, the more common I'm finding that is.
Mm-hmm.
See, I look at it as, man, it doesn't matter what happened. Amanda was ready.
Mm-hmm.
And in your mind, there were times because it was different, you weren't sure you belonged.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, those two perspectives.
I was just going to say, I think it's easy to look at things and be like, well, I got in because of this. I got in because this person didn't make it, or, whatever. It's so easy to make these excuses, or I got in because the workouts hit me right. And, I won this workout and they happened to be on this side of the cuts. And, you can do that all day long, but at the end of the day, we all took the same tests. We all did everything the same, and who ended up there are the people who deserved it. So I do believe that now. In the moment, it's not always the easiest thing.
Right. I also noticed in this year you did one off season of the big three, one off season comp, and that was Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it for you to recover in the off season and get a full recovery? And how tough is that when those big three are where you can really make some money as a pro athlete?
Yeah. I hate it, to be honest. It's like, who wants to miss out on Dubai? But it's like right around Christmas. Like, who wants to compete around Christmas? Like, I would love to go to Dubai, but I can guarantee you I'm never going to compete at Dubai because of the time of year that it comes up. And the type of person I am, like family and Thanksgiving to Christmas is just like our time. And like me having to train enough to be concerned to do well is just not going to happen during that time. Rogue last year was really hard for me. I did not want to go. I didn't want to be there. I was not. Afterwards, I was so burnt out. The turnaround from the games is tough for me because you put so much into it, and you really do. It's not physical; it's mental. You need a break. And we started training pretty hard for Rogue too soon, and I learned that the hard way last year. So I think that this year I will probably do Rogue again, but have just a different mindset going into it. I want to stay fit, but I'm not going to like hammer intense CrossFit workouts until October. Like I'm not going to be doing that in September because I think it was just a little too soon last year, and that's challenging. So then I looked at Wodapalooza and I was like, I'm absolutely not competing. Like I need a break. Yeah, it's hard though, because you want to do them. You want to get the exposure. It's fun. You want the chance to earn some money, but you got to be smart from a mental and physical perspective. So it's definitely challenging.
Do you wear the cowboy hat and boots at all since you were at Rogue?
No. I kept them, going back to Ohio, country concerts are a big deal, and you need cowboy boots. So I might wear them someday, but I have not yet. Definitely not in Boston.
Yeah, we had Emily Rolfe and her husband on 2 nights ago, and their suitcase was so overweight that when they took the boots and the buckle out, that it went back underweight.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. There were some things that I left in my hotel room because of that same problem, but I did bring the boots and the hat. Yeah.
I thought that was funny. And everybody we've asked, like Jeff Adler was like, there's no way I'm ever wearing those boots and hat. Cool that they gave it to us, but I gave it to my brother.
He
can
cool.
Have fun with
it. It is very cool.
So I know you are very like in stuff I've seen, very regimented in what you do, like how you eat during a day, how you sleep. How do you gear up for that at the games? Like and you may not be this way anymore. You were a very early morning person, early to bed person.
Mhm.
The games don't necessarily run on that schedule. So how do you adjust for that going into the games?
I don't. I've stopped trying. So I used to try, and I still wake up. My internal clock does not let me sleep in. Very rarely, if I sleep till 7, I'm thrilled, but it just doesn't happen. So I tried to do it a little bit for Granite Games because those workouts were so late. And what ends up happening is I just end up getting less sleep. So what I've decided, and it works for me fine, is like I keep my schedule as long as I can. I get good sleep leading up to the games, and there's 3 or 4 nights that I don't get the best sleep in the world. I'm fine. Like I'm still getting around 7 hours. I think in perfect conditions, it'd be hard to get 8 anyways, just because of stress and adrenaline and all the other stuff going on. So it's fine. You can do a couple days on low sleep. If it's what you've built up to that point, it's your nutrition, it's everything else going into it. Yeah. And last year it was fine. I didn't set an alarm a single day at the games last year. Everyone complains about those 7 o'clock briefs. And I'm like, I woke up at 6, had my coffee, like enjoyed my morning, and then made it to the brief on time without being cranky. And like we got home for me to go to bed by 9 o'clock each night. So it was not a big deal at all last year.
Our mother co-host Kat is chiming in that CrossFit fans should sign up and work as maids at hotels on the day after the games.
Yeah. They might get some free stuff.
Yeah. And I asked this question of somebody, I can't remember who it was, but like, you're a Reebok athlete, you're a tier athlete. Mm-hmm. They send you gift packages going into the games. Mm-hmm. You're going to get there and get a butt ton of uniforms for the week. Mm-hmm. What do you do with all that stuff?
Well, I can't wear any of the tier and Reebok stuff at the games, so I pack as light as possible. I take all of my shoes since we're allowed to wear the shoes. But from a Reebok gear perspective, I pack hardly anything because it's just like I got to save room in my suitcase to get everything back. It depends. I give away pretty much all of the jerseys. I don't keep the jerseys. I may keep one from each year, give them to managers and coaches and friends and fans and stuff like that. And then otherwise, I've just given the stuff away to friends over the years. I have a lot of friends who have gotten a lot of really nice clothes for free. So I don't like the idea of selling anything. I just like giving it away. Some of it I keep. I know that I'm not going to be a sponsored athlete for the rest of my life. So I know I would kick myself if I got rid of every single thing. So I keep some of it, give some of it away. My husband would definitely think that I keep too much, but I guess I have a little bit of hoarder in me. Like you never know. The amount of shoes I have that I've never worn is almost embarrassing, but I just keep telling myself that someday I will wear them.
Christy brings a box in to the gym after like every big event and says, help yourself, don't take too much so other people can have it. But her and I are definitely not the right size.
It's challenging to find, like, especially shoes. It's like a girl with the exact shoe size as you that wants the shoes. Like, it's not easy to find, then you feel like you're just giving it to the one person. It's like, I wish I could find more people that have the same shoe size, that are friends and people that are close by that I can give them to. My sister wears the same shoe size as me, so I give her a lot. But
someone in the comments is saying that if you want to donate to the wall, you could always do that too.
What's the wall?
Sit behind me. I have jerseys and shirts from different athletes that have given me stuff.
Oh yeah,
over the years.
Jerseys, absolutely.
It's a shameless plug.
Yeah. Like that's like Christie's is right there.
Oh yeah, I see O'Connell.
And then Cheryl Nasso, and then Bethany's shirt from Bulldogs and Crocs.
Oh yeah, I love
Stacy Tovar's gym shirt. Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about your faith. When you go on your Instagram, first thing listed is Christ first. Mm-hmm. And I love that. Being a man of Christ, I love seeing that. And how do you center yourself daily to make sure that is your priority and not all of this stuff going on around you?
It's hard. I think every Christian struggles with that, but I think the best thing you can do is start your morning with God, sit down, however your routine fits you best. But I drink coffee. I usually read a devotional and listen to one on the Bible app. They have so many good ones on there. Journal a little bit and set an intention for the day and try to focus on whatever that is, and just remind myself throughout the day as things happen and things don't go according to plan, and just try to pause, breathe, and pray, and remember that it's not your plan that matters, it's his plan, and stay focused on that. And it does lift so much stress and anxieties and worries and everything if you can focus on that. And some days I do great and some days I fail, and that's why I sit down again with my journal the next day and say, how can I do it better today?
Yeah, I love that. I tried to do it in other parts of the day, but morning always seems to work best because it just sets the day up for, if you do that first, then it's the priority for your day.
Yeah, and I'm a morning person, so my distraction level in the morning is very low. I'm focused, I'm ready to, go through my routine, but once the day starts, I can't seem to bring the focus in. And I'm like that with everything. Like if I don't do my laundry in the morning, I lose focus and the laundry doesn't get done till the next day. I'll do it in the morning. But I have this window to where I'm productive and I'm focused. And if I miss it, the day's gone.
I want to shift gears just a little bit. I was at the MAC last year and you and Sam were really tight. Sam left. Was that an adjustment for you? Because I heard you describe him as the annoying little brother you didn't have.
Yes, that was an adjustment. Because Sam and I were both coached by Harry last year. We got along very well, very good friends. Our training dynamic was great. We had a lot of strengths and weaknesses that lined up really well. So yeah, him leaving was tough on me. I missed training with him a lot, but I understand, I know him well enough to know that being home for him and training in his home environment was best for him. He enjoyed training with me, but his family environment and being surrounded by his loved ones means a lot to him. So I support him from that, knowing that that is what's best for him, even though I miss him.
So how cool was it that you both got Granite Games this year?
Oh yeah, that was awesome. It was what are the odds that we both got MAC last year? We both got Granite Games this year. I was heartbroken for him last year, knowing how hard he trained and how good he was and how much he deserved to make the games, and didn't happen last year. So seeing him come back so strong this year was awesome.
Yeah, that Sunday morning event for him, he made a statement.
Yeah, he pushes his sled so well. So I was not surprised at all. And he's one of the best in the sport on any sort of bike. So it was really cool to see.
He's one of the most favorite people I've ever interviewed, and it was so cool to see him punch his ticket. Yeah. Yeah, he's so quiet.
He is. That's why
ever since
I hear you say that.
But ever since I met him, he always comes up and says hi to me at every event. He was coaching his little brother at the games last year.
Yeah.
He came over and said hi. He's just the nicest guy ever.
Yes. Heart of gold.
Yeah. So what will be a satisfying CrossFit Games for you this year?
I think that if I show up and execute to the best of my abilities in every single workout, you have absolutely no control over where you end up on the leaderboard, and it's cliche and everyone says it, but it's 100% true. So you can't think about that. You can't stress about that. You have no control over what other athletes are doing or what the workouts are. So if I can show up the best Amanda in every single workout and feel like I finished the workout being that was it, that was everything I had, which over 15 events is very hard to do. I've never done it successfully. I don't feel like I even did it over 6 at Granite Games. So that's a very lofty goal, to be able to walk away and be I absolutely hit my best in every workout. But that's always the goal. And the closer you can get to that, I firmly believe the higher I'm going to be on the leaderboard, because you're not leaving anything left on the table.
How excited are you knowing that the programmer is different this year?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what to expect. I'm a little nervous because I feel I've kind of learned, Castro's ways, and I don't know if Boss is going to follow that at all, or, just totally throw us for a loop. So I guess I'm more nervous than I would normally be, just because it's unknown. But I also, I'm at the point in my career where I'm not hoping that something doesn't show up, because you can't do that. So I'm excited. I think that I do have faith that Boss is going to put together a really good test. I think he's super smart, and I think he's going to think through this really, really well. And he's a classic CrossFit guy, diehard at heart. So I think that we're going to have some really good workouts. And yeah, I honestly am very excited to see them.
You said earlier in the interview that you're very adaptable as an athlete. And so that's a strength when there's a programmer that's never done this before, because you can adapt to that situation. So I would think it would be a strength of yours going into the games.
I hope so. I mean, I don't actually know if I'm that adaptable. I try to be and try to tell myself that I am, but I am such a creature of habit and consistency that adapting is, I guess, still a challenging thing for me. But I guess as an athlete and a veteran, you do it better and better each year.
Is there anything you miss from Ohio from like a food or drink perspective?
So our favorite pizza place is Dewey's Pizza. We definitely miss that. We love Bakersfield Tacos in Cincinnati. That's probably our favorite place. We love their tacos and margaritas and chips. Husband and I talk about that all the time. There is one in Columbus. We just love the one in Cincinnati, but I would say those are probably my top two things that we miss. Yeah.
I missed the first one because my earbud died.
Dewey's Pizza.
Dewey's Pizza. Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever had Dewey's?
We have a Dewey's here in Columbus.
I love Dewey's.
Like 5 of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was expecting a Grater's ice cream or.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can get Grater's in the store here, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
It's pretty much anywhere in grocery store. I don't know about anywhere, but I pretty much see it in most grocery stores nowadays. So.
Well, awesome. What are you going to do to celebrate after the games?
I don't know. Madison's tough because you got to we never plan ahead, you know? It's like you think you're going to get this great restaurant and then it becomes the last minute of the games night. And you got this big crew of people and you're trying to find somewhere to eat, and always ends up being kind of a letdown. So I'm trying not to, it doesn't matter that much. Usually by Sunday, I don't really want to eat anyways. They give us pizza on the competition floor at the end of the night. Last year we got tacos somewhere, but they weren't great. I always want Mexican food because that's my favorite. But I think finding a place in Madison maybe isn't ideal. Maybe I should start doing my research now, honestly, and have my mom get the reservation, because every year I'm like, dang it, I didn't plan this ahead. And we're, twiddling our thumbs trying to find a spot where we can all get into last minute, and it doesn't always end well.
Are you going to do any vacation afterwards?
As of now, we don't have anything planned. We'll come back to Boston right away. Our dogs are here and stuff. And then we'll probably end up driving to Ohio with the pups and stay with my parents for a couple weeks. That's usually what we do. They got a pool put in. They have an awesome backyard. So we'll want to spend a few weeks there since we've been missing out while the family's enjoying the backyard and we're here in Boston. So we'll definitely do that for a few weeks in August. Other than that, we're not sure yet. We have talked about kind of going somewhere around here in Boston, just because there's New Hampshire is so close, Cape Cod, there's tons of places around here that we haven't really explored yet that would be fun to go to.
Here's my last question. How many people are you taking to the games?
I'm taking my husband and my mom this year. I got a small crew, and then one of my best friends from Cleveland is coming. So just 3.
Who gets the coach's pass?
Oh, the coach's pass is Ben Bergeron. So he's coming too. That's the CompTrain crew. We have a pretty big crew with CompTrain, but just from a family perspective.
I don't know if he got yours. Did he get?
Yeah, he gets mine. Ben gets mine, and then Genesee, Cole's wife, takes his. And then Jarrett Smith, Sid's coach, will be with her. So we'll have a little crew.
That's a seniority.
Yeah.
Thing there.
Well, Amanda, this has been a blast. We're up on the hour. I did want to respect your time. So thank you so much for jumping on with us. We will hopefully see you in Madison. We're still waiting to hear on our credentials, but hopefully we get those, and we'll see you up there in Madison.
Well, they're not giving media passes to everyone this year.
It seems like all the athletes, like production companies, are getting them.
Oh, okay.
But if you're like a third-party media, it's sketchy.
Well, hopefully you get one, man.
Yeah, we're trying, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, guys. This has been so fun.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I'll play the music.